Did you know that the largest landfill in all of Asia isn't just a dump? It's a city made of trash, where people live, eat, work, and sometimes disappear? This is Bantar Gebang. Welcome to Hidden on the Edge of Jakarta, Indonesia. In this episode of NVL Travel Documentary, we explore the darker side of urban life, where the line between survival and desperation blurs. Here, amidst toxic smoke and mountains of waste, you'll find untold stories of homelessness, drug addiction, and an underground world that few dare to enter. If you're into facts about countries and crave a country documentary that reveals what tourists never see, you won't want to miss this. Number 1. Inside Asia's largest landfill. There's a place just outside the bustling capital of Jakarta, Indonesia, that feels like it belongs in a post-apocalyptic movie. But it's not fiction, it's very real. Bantar Gebang, the largest landfill in Asia, a monstrous sprawl of garbage that has grown into what some call a city made of trash. Spanning more than 120 hectares, Bantar Gebang receives over 7,000 tons of waste every single day. That's roughly the weight of 1,000 elephants. This isn't just a dump site, it's a living, breathing ecosystem, home to over 7,000 people who live, work, eat, and sleep right on the edge of this man-made mountain of decay. And yes, it has its own kind of economy, professions, and even cuisine. Locals call it a city within a city. There are food stalls run by scavengers, informal schools set up by NGOs, and makeshift neighborhoods perched dangerously close to collapsing cliffs of waste. It's an unregistered world operating on the margins of society, hidden in plain sight, but forgotten by most. But before we meet the people of Bantar Gebang, before we dive into their stories and struggles, let's talk about that first impression, because it hits hard. As you approach, the smell arrives first. A sharp, acrid mix of rotting food, plastic smoke, and sewage that clings to your lungs like wet cloth. Then comes the sound, the constant thunderous growl of bulldozers pushing mountains of garbage, the high-pitched screams of scavenger birds circling overhead, and the distant chatter of families trying to make dinner amid the chaos. And then you see it. A massive, undulating range of garbage hills that stretch beyond the horizon. Towers of waste that breathe, shift, and sometimes explode. In fact, a methane explosion in 2024 destroyed nearly 20% of the site, highlighting the daily danger of just existing here. The entire atmosphere is overwhelming. It's hot. It's toxic. It's surreal. Like stepping into a parallel universe where all the rules have been rewritten. You feel like you're walking through the set of a dystopian sci-fi film, except there's no director yelling cut and no actors pretending to live in misery. This is the real deal. This is Bantar Gebang. And somehow, despite the filth and the fumes, life goes on. Children run barefoot over broken plastic. Men and women in ragged clothes dig through heaps of waste with rusted hooks. And above it all, the sun sets, casting a golden light over mountains of trash, as if trying to make sense of it all. What kind of world is this? How did it come to be? To understand Bantar Gebang is to confront the hidden cost of our convenience, the dark underbelly of urban progress. And once you see it, truly see it, you can't unsee it. So buckle up. We're just getting started. Number 2. How this trash mountain keeps growing. Every day, like clockwork, a procession of garbage trucks snakes its way through the crowded streets of Jakarta toward Bantar Gebang. On average, close to 600 trucks roll in daily, dumping a staggering 8,000 metric tons of trash. That's the equivalent of filling more than 3 Olympic-sized swimming pools with garbage every single day. The scale is mind-boggling. But what's even more astonishing is how methodical the chaos is. Once the trucks arrive, a well-rehearsed ballet of heavy machinery takes over. Excavators, bulldozers, and dump trucks move in unison, carving and reshaping the landscape of waste like sculptors working with decay. They pile the trash in layers, pushing it higher and higher, compacting it with mechanical force to create flat surfaces for the next wave of refuse. It's an ongoing cycle, dump, sort, push, press, and build, over and over again like a never-ending assembly line of urban discard. To an outsider, it might look like disorder, but to those who operate it, this landfill runs with the precision of a factory that doesn't manufacture products, but accumulates them, one discarded item at a time. And yet, beneath this rhythm lies a silent, invisible threat: methane gas. As organic waste breaks down, it releases methane, a highly flammable greenhouse gas that often accumulates in pockets deep within the landfill. Left unchecked, these pockets become ticking time bombs. In fact, in 2024, one such explosion tore through the site, burning nearly 1/5 of the entire landfill and forcing emergency evacuations. The fire smoldered for days, turning the surrounding air with smoke and fear. But fires aren't the only risk. Landslides, triggered by trapped gas or unstable ground, have claimed lives in the past, swallowing entire sections of the trash mountain and burying anything or anyone in its path. It's a deadly reminder that this isn't just waste. It's a living, shifting mass, unpredictable and dangerous. Still, the garbage doesn't stop. The trucks keep coming, the machines keep pushing, and the mountain keeps growing, higher, heavier, and more hazardous with every passing day. So the next time you throw something away and never think of it again, remember, it doesn't disappear. It just moves to places like Bantar Gebang, where trash becomes terrain, and where danger lurks not in plain sight, but buried deep below the surface. Number 3. People who live and work in the dump. If you walk through the chaotic maze of garbage hills in Bantar Gebang, you'll quickly realize people don't just work here, they live here. The residents of this landfill-turned settlement are mostly migrant families. Men, women, and even children who've come from rural areas across Indonesia, fleeing poverty but finding themselves trapped in another version of it. Most have no formal education, no skills on paper, and no safety net to fall back on. What they do have, though, is determination. The kind that drives people to dig through trash just to survive the day. These individuals are known as scavengers, or as the locals call them, pemulung. Their daily routine? Scour the landfill for anything with resale value. Plastic bottles, aluminum cans, old wires, clothing, broken electronics, anything that can be washed, fixed, or repurposed. Armed with nothing more than a metal hook, a woven basket, and a flashlight strapped to their forehead, they move through the waste like modern-day forest, turning decay into a lifeline. But this lifeline pays very little. As of 2025, the average monthly income of a scavenger ranges between 500,000 and 1 million Indonesian rupiah. That's about $30 to $65 per month, barely enough to afford rice, instant noodles, and the cheapest cooking oil. There's no health insurance, no government assistance, and absolutely no guarantees. One day, you might find a chunk of copper worth a meal. The next day, nothing at all. And while their work is backbreaking, their homes offer no relief. Most families build makeshift shacks using whatever they can find: sheets of tin, scraps of wood, torn tarps, and old rice sacks. These fragile structures cling to the edges of the landfill like an afterthought. There's no clean running water, unreliable electricity, and only a few communal toilets shared among dozens of people. The air is thick with smoke from burning plastic, and the ground never quite dries. Always damp, always toxic. But the dangers don't stop there. Every single day brings the risk of injury or death. People fall into deep trash pits, get crushed by bulldozers, or buried alive when unstable mounds collapse. Sharp objects like used needles, shattered glass, and rusted metal lie hidden in the trash, ready to pierce through gloves and rubber boots. Common illnesses include skin infections, fungal rashes, persistent coughs, bronchitis, pneumonia, and in the worst cases, sepsis from untreated wounds. And yet, even here, among the flies and fire and filth, people hold on to dreams. Ask around and you'll hear a common hope: I just want to earn enough so my kids can go to school. Education, for them, is the golden ticket, a way out of this mountain of misery. Some parents skip meals so their children can buy notebooks. Others say it plainly: if I had any other way, I'd leave this place tomorrow. In Bantar Gebang, survival is a full-time job. But hope, fragile, flickering hope, is what gets people up each morning, because no matter how deep the trash, everyone deserves a chance to rise above it. Number 4. What people eat in the trash city. It's hard to imagine, but even among towering mountains of trash, life insists on being lived, and that includes the most human ritual of all, eating. Scattered across the edges of Bantar Gebang are what locals call warung mini, makeshift food stalls cobbled together from sheets of tin, scrap wood, and whatever else can be salvaged from the dump. These tiny kitchens, barely standing, serve hot meals to scavengers who've spent the day knee-deep in waste. The menu is basic, but for many it's all they can afford. Instant noodles, powdered coffee, sweetened water with artificial syrup, and fried tofu sold for the equivalent of a few hundred rupiah. That's just a few cents in US dollars. But behind the sizzling pans and steaming bowls lies a darker story. The fuel. Because gas is expensive and firewood is scarce, many vendors here burn plastic waste to cook. That's right, discarded packaging, broken containers, old shoes, anything flammable and free becomes fuel. It's cheap, easy to ignite, and toxic beyond measure. When burned, plastic releases dioxins and other carcinogenic chemicals that poison not just the food, but the air everyone breathes. According to a study by the Indonesian Ministry of Environment in 2024, plastic burning in informal settlements like Bantar Gebang contributes to nearly 30% of localized air pollution. And then, there's the infamous trash tofu. Locally known as tahu sampah, this tofu isn't made from garbage, but everything else about it is. The soybeans are real, but they're boiled over plastic-fed fires, shaped in aluminum molds salvaged from broken appliances, and dyed a golden brown using tamarind to mimic the look of premium fried tofu. The entire process is done outdoors, on the landfill, with no hygiene standards and plenty of flies for company. It's fast, it's efficient, and, surprisingly, it tastes good. Soft on the inside, crispy on the outside, with a slightly smoky aroma. But here's the catch. Every bite might come with a side of toxic exposure. Consuming food cooked over burning plastic introduces polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, which are known to cause cancer and respiratory diseases over time. And this isn't just theoretical. In 2025, a health report by Jakarta's local NGO Green Pulse found that 48% of residents in the Bantar Gebang vicinity showed signs of long-term respiratory issues, many of which are linked to airborne toxins from cooking and waste fires. Still, when hunger calls, choices shrink. For many scavengers, trash tofu isn't an option, it's a necessity. It's cheap, hot, and fills the belly. That's what matters when you've spent 12 hours under the sun, sifting through garbage just to earn enough for a bite. In Bantar Gebang, food is survival, and survival often means compromise. With health, with dignity, and with the hope of something better. Yet, amid the acrid smoke and frying oil, there's resilience, there's warmth, and there's a kind of community that forms not despite the trash, but because of it. Number 5. Burning plastic to build cities. Bantar Gebang isn't just a landfill, it's also a marketplace, where waste isn't the end of a product's life, it's the beginning of a new, hidden economy. And at the heart of this underground system, plastic waste. Every day, tons of discarded plastic are collected, sorted, and burned, not just to make room on the trash mountain, but to fuel an entirely different industry, construction. The trick is in the kilns. Here's how it works. Scavengers and middlemen gather plastic scraps, old bags, bottles, wrappers, and sell them to informal lime kilns that dot the outskirts of Bantar Gebang. These kilns burn plastic as fuel to produce quicklime, a key ingredient used in making cement, bricks, and a special kind of lightweight concrete block called AAC, or autoclaved aerated concrete. It's cheap, it's efficient, and it's dirty in every sense of the word. According to a report from the Indonesian Ministry of Public Works in early 2025, over 60% of lime production in informal zones around Jakarta now uses plastic-based fuel. It keeps costs low, especially as urban construction surges to meet housing demands. But the consequences stretch far beyond the kiln walls. Because when plastic burns, it doesn't just disappear. It releases toxic chemicals like dioxins, which settle into the lime ash and float into the air. From there they drift, they fall, they seep into rice paddies, vegetable farms, and backyard chicken coops. And this is where the cycle turns deadly. A study published in late 2024 by the environmental NGO Clean Soil Indonesia revealed something chilling. Eggs from free-range chickens raised near Bantar Gebang contained dioxin levels up to 4 times higher than the safe limit set by the World Health Organization. And the contamination didn't stop at eggs. Traces of toxic residue were found in soil samples, irrigation water, and even locally grown produce. This means that families living near the landfill, many of them already poor and vulnerable, are unknowingly consuming poisoned food, day by day, meal by meal. It's an invisible crisis, spreading quietly from the fires of industry to the plates of everyday people. So while Bantar Gebang may seem like a place where garbage ends, in truth, it's a place where toxic cycles begin. Trash becomes fuel, fuel becomes lime, lime builds homes, and pollutes the food that sustains those very homes. It's a closed loop of survival and contamination, a circular economy, yes, but one where the circle keeps tightening around the health of an entire community. And the question that lingers is hauntingly simple. How much longer can this system sustain itself before it collapses from the inside? Number 6. The real cost of Jakarta's growth. Jakarta, a megacity of more than 11 million people, is expanding at a breakneck pace. Skyscrapers rise, malls multiply, and highways stretch like arteries across the cityscape. On the surface, it looks like progress. But beneath that shimmering skyline, something else is growing too. The mountains of trash. Urban development comes with an invisible price tag, and waste is the most obvious cost. As Jakarta's economy booms, consumption explodes. More food, more packaging, more electronics, more of everything. And with that comes more garbage. According to data from the Jakarta Environmental Agency in early 2025, the city now generates over 8,500 metric tons of waste every single day. That's nearly 6 million kilograms every 24 hours. And where does it all go? Mostly to Bantar Gebang, the city's largest and fastest-growing landfill. What began as a dumping ground on the outskirts has now swelled into a garbage mountain the size of over 200 football fields. The more Jakarta grows upward, the more Bantar Gebang expands outward. This is the shadow of the skyline, the part no one puts on postcards. But what's truly heartbreaking isn't just the trash. It's the lives built around it. For thousands of people living in and around Bantar Gebang, this mountain of waste is their reality. They breathe its smoke, sleep on its edges, and feed their families from what it leaves behind. They are the hidden casualties of progress, the ones paying the price so the city can keep moving. And the price? It's steep. Children born here often grow up without ever setting foot in a classroom. Instead of learning to read or write, they learn how to sort plastic from metal and danger from opportunity. They learn to survive. Education takes a backseat to survival, and dreams of a better life get buried under layers of waste. Health, too, is a luxury many can't afford. A recent health survey by the Indonesian Red Cross in 2025 found that residents in landfill-adjacent communities suffer from respiratory diseases at a rate 3 times higher than the national average. Many live without clean water, basic sanitation, or reliable medical care. Here, the cost of living isn't measured in money, it's measured in years of life lost. So while Jakarta races toward modernity, Bantar Gebang serves as a grim reminder. Urban growth doesn't lift everyone. For some, it buries them, literally and figuratively, under the weight of a system that values speed over sustainability and wealth over welfare. Progress, it seems, comes with a catch. And in places like Bantar Gebang, that catch is felt in every breath, every step, and every bite of food pulled from the belly of the landfill. It's easy to look at Jakarta, with its gleaming towers, endless traffic, and neon-lit malls, and see only progress, growth, modernity. But tucked just outside the city's edge lies Bantar Gebang, a place that tells a very different story, one not of luxury, but of survival, not of convenience, but of consequence. This isn't a landfill in the traditional sense. It's a city built on garbage, where every layer of trash tells a story of what we consume, what we throw away, and most importantly, who we choose to forget. As we've seen, this ecosystem of waste functions like a machine. Trucks bring in more than 8,000 tons of trash every single day. Heavy machinery shapes the landscape. Fires burn, methane builds, and all around it people live. They eat, they work, they dream. Thousands of families, many of them migrants, carve out fragile lives on the very edges of society. Children growing up knowing the sound of bulldozers better than the sound of a school bell. And in this place, everything is reused, repurposed, reimagined. Even food. Plastic burns in cooking fires. Tofu is fried in pots blackened with melted trash. Waste becomes fuel, and fuel becomes bricks, and bricks build homes. While dioxins creep silently into rice paddies, chicken eggs, and the air itself. It all forces us to ask two uncomfortable but necessary questions. How far has this pollution already spread? And why, in 2025, are thousands still forced to live in a place like this? The answer lies not only in poverty or politics, but in priorities. In how we build cities without safety nets. In how the fast pace of consumption leaves entire communities behind. And in how the environmental burden of modern life is so often outsourced to those who can least afford to bear it. Bantar Gebang is more than just a mountain of waste. It is a mirror. It reflects the vast divide between rich and poor. It exposes the cracks in our systems, economic, social, and environmental. And it reminds us that what we throw away doesn't really disappear. It just ends up somewhere else, usually in someone else's backyard. And yet, even here, in the heart of what feels like a dystopian future, there is resilience, there is dignity, there are people holding on to hope, scraping together enough to send their children to school, dreaming of something better. So as this journey ends, maybe it's not just about Bantar Gebang. Maybe it's about all the forgotten places in our world. The people who live in the shadows of our comfort, and the quiet choices we make every day that shape their reality. If this story opened your eyes or stirred something inside you, we invite you to share your thoughts in the comments, subscribe to NVL Travel Documentary, and be part of a community that believes travel isn't just about seeing new places, it's about understanding them. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay curious, stay compassionate, and don't look away.